What's up there, Rainy Day Writing Guild? My name is Jake. Happy Wednesday. So this week we're talking about hobbies that writers can engage in that will help hone their craft. My topic for this discussion will be games, gaming in particular. So we'll start with video games because that's my forte. Any game worth its salt that has a single player mode, because I play a lot of MMOs and that sort of thing. Games that have a really invested single player mode generally have a good story if they have a good developer backing them and they have written a script that's worth a damn. That can be really engaging. If you are really feeling your character, you're really immersed in the world and the lore and the history of everything that's going on in this game, that's a really well written world. And what we as writers can do while experiencing that is take notes, essentially. That things that, don't reinvent the wheel. Work smarter, not harder. If you see something that one of these writers, the game writers, has done, take it and make it your own. Something I struggle with personally is creating like a political system or an economy in my world building for fantasy type stuff. And so there's any number of games out there with whole worlds built out for you. Final Fantasy is a huge franchise and they've got everything. So it's really interesting to see. There are games even about writers. There's one called The Novelist, and it's kind of campy, and it's a little bit The Shining, but essentially you play a novelist who has taken his family into a house in the country to work on finishing his novel. But while there, he's got to balance, finishing his manuscript, but also maintaining his relationship with his family. So, the wife wants attention, the kid wants attention, there's a ghost in the house. So obviously there's competing entities that need your attention as the novelist. And it's an interesting dynamic, and I encourage you all to at least watch the trailer, if not go and play the game. Stepping away from electronic for a moment, we can go old school. We can go pen and paper. So D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, is kind of the cornerstone game, if you think about it. It's the one that really made it big. And so if you are playing any tabletop role-playing game, any pen and paper role-playing game, you are playing a role. And that, is acting, that is narrative, that is story. You can take what's in the books that, again, other writers have already laid out for you, or you can use that as just a framework and create your own. You can go completely off script and design your own from scratch. We've done that here. Joy and I and Guy got together and we played a one-off that Joy had created on her own. She didn't take anything out of any of the books. She just did a one and done kind of mission of her own creation. It wasn't rooted in anything in the lore, but it was fun, and it was a good narrative exercise. The character sheets, which you need name, hair color, eye color, build, describe your character. There's stats for things, but you can use it as an actual character sheet for your literary characters, because there's tables that you can roll on for background and traits and personality and flaws. You can roll up a character on a D&D character sheet and use that in your novel. So the tools are there. They're interchangeable. What else? We had played, Guy had brought over a big box game. It's like Tales of the Arabian Nights or something like that. It's a really intricate game. I don't want to scare anybody away. It's not that difficult, but it's very intricately designed in that you draw a card, you turn to a page in this book, and it tells you to turn to a page in that book, and you read the passage and you do the thing. And so it's a little bit choose your own adventure in that sense, but it tells a narrative as well, that you move your character to a city, you have an encounter, and you get to choose. You have a little bit of choice in the matter because there's a table of actions that you can take based on all sorts of other stuff that's going on. And so depending on your answer, that's why it's choose your own adventure, depending on your answer to that encounter dictates the outcome. And so when the outcome is read, you get a result, for whether it's treasure or a status boost or a status detriment. And you can play through this game, and as an exercise, I guess, you could write the story of your character, which I think I may do, because I had the most unlucky guy that every city I went to, every encounter I had a negative effect. I'd gotten lost. I was imprisoned. I tried to help somebody on the road and it backfired, and I was grief-stricken. And like 2 or 3 other things happened where it's like, here's this crap card, you now have this status ailment, and you have to apply negatives to all of your functions until this card is removed. But in order to remove the card, you had to go through some other arduous journey. So like he just got dealt the absolute worst life experience. And they always say good writing is a worsening dilemma at the end of every scene. And so this guy's got it. And so that's a really interesting mechanic. So I encourage you all again to check that out as well. It's Tales of the Arabian Nights or something like that. I'm sure it's on Board Game Geek, but you can check it on Amazon or anywhere. It's about $80, but it's really cool. But these are things that you or we as writers can explore and practice and gain valuable personal experiences that we can then turn into narrative. And I think that's how gaming, both analog and digital, can benefit our craft as writers so that we can write a better tale. All right. So, Joy, I wanted to chime in on something that you had mentioned in your video earlier this week. I think that manually writing and pen paling is a great way to network. You never know who you'll meet and how they may influence your life or your writing in the future. They may become somebody, a reference that you may need later on. They may open doors for you. So that's really cool. And it's also important to practice handwriting. Like you said, it's a dying art. It really is. with the technology generation that we have, uh, handwriting is a lost skill. Also, your editor is going to love your piece, so I don't think you have anything to worry about. So, fingers crossed for when you hear back from her. Um, I wanted to thank Devin and Lydia for their Moby Dick renditions last week. Lydia, I really, really enjoyed all of your tall ship images. That really has me jazzed to write Amethyst again. And Devin, I thought it was a really cool spin that you put on it too. Call me Ishmael. That was really a funny pun, and I appreciated that. So thank you again. All right. That's all I've got this week. So hopefully that was beneficial to some of you. Let me know what you think. If you have a particular game that you play, um, either pen and paper, tabletop, or console, if that's helped you in your writing. All right. Take care, guildmates. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.